Hello, and welcome to the Investor Guys Podcast, the ultimate podcast for serious real estate investors in the know. Join your host, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills, as they share their expert insights, strategies, and tips to help you succeed in the world of real estate investing. Get ready to level up your investment game with the Investor Guys Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Bill Barnett and Kevin Mills.
And welcome to another episode of the Investor Guys Podcast. We had a little bit of technical issues for our first round, but I think we've gotten over that hurdle now. Yes, and we're gonna
tell me no.
we're gonna get it right this time. So Bill and I have been talking actually on our first round around this about hurdles that we hear when it comes to education. And Bill and I are very pro-education. It's not just because we are both real estate educators. We know the value of education, primarily because we see it every day, not only in being working real estate investors ourselves, but in being educators and in being students. Bill and I have both taken courses from other people, and I am not opposed to continue to do that myself, and I know Bill is the same. So it frustrates us when we hear things and we see things that are just a no-brainer, but the people are letting themselves get hung up on it. The two things that you need to be a successful investor are an education and motivation. And we see people who get the educations and aren't motivated to get started. And Bill and I have talked about this before at length. We go to clubs and we go to other seminars and other events, and we meet people who come up and introduce themselves. And I'm so-and-so, I'm fifth level master such and such this, and I took so-and-so's course, and I took so-and-so's course, and I've done this, and I've done that. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. How many doors do you have? Oh, well, the condo that I live in, I bought that as an investment. First off, as Bob Kyosaki always says, and it's the truth, the house you live in is not an investment. It is the house you live in. It is not an investment. Unless you get started, all that education is just nuts and bolts rattling around in your head, doing you no good whatsoever. Bill, I know you have a lot to say on this because we actually did this one time already. Share your thoughts.
Well, I have a term that I use all the time called applied focus. And here's what applied focus means. So if I go to an event and get a bunch of knowledge, but I don't do anything with that knowledge, then I've just cluttered up my brain. Knowledge is not power, period. You've heard all your life, knowledge is power. That's bull, bunk, and wrong. It's an untruth. So when I get a bunch of knowledge, if I'm not doing anything with it, it's nothing but clutter. So when I go out and I take that knowledge and now translate it out into the marketplace, and I'm actually using it, this is where I come with applied focus. When I'm taking what I've learned at an event, and look, when I go to an event, one of the things that I do is I go in knowing there's going to be a nugget that I'm going to get from this event. I may have heard the speaker multiple times. I know there's going to be a nugget that I'm going to get from it that makes my time and my dollar investment a home run for me. I've got to be paying attention during all of that to catch the nugget, because what happens when you are growing in this business, same thing, I teach a Bible study class on Thursday mornings, and I have people go, wow, I've never read that before. Yeah, and I'm like, no, if you've read your Bible before, you did read that before, but you're in a different place now. It's the same thing with investing. Once you start out and get into the marketplace, you may have heard Kevin and I at some other time, I've heard them before. Well, then when you hear us again, it may be a year later, could be 2 years later, and we could be giving the exact same presentation. And what you'll find is we are never going to give the exact same presentation the exact same way. And you're different. We're different, and you're different. So it's going to set with you in a different manner than it did the first time you hear it. And so things that just went over your head or in one ear and out the other, this time around you go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's just what I was looking for. But it's a change that's happened in you. And so that's applied focus. When I get a certain amount of knowledge when I go take an event, when I buy a course, when I read a book, whatever it happens to be. And I now want to incorporate that into my business. I am applying what I've learned. So that's what I refer to as applied focus. And applied focus will just kick open a ton of doors for you, because most people in our business wander around. They are aimless at what they do. Oh, I'm a real estate investor. Oh, great. Well, how many houses have you bought in the past year? Well, COVID. That'll be the 2020 excuse. Oh, COVID. Okay. So, well, how many did you do in 2019? Well, my cat.
I was getting ready for COVID.
Yeah, my cat. I saw Steve Bart the other day. He said, "Yeah, I gave my cat a bath." And he said, I was surprised, I always heard cats hated baths, but I gave my cat a bath and he really enjoyed it. He said, I kept getting hair on my tongue though, but so that's the kind of thing it's like, what were you doing? If we will simply get some education and then apply that so that it becomes valuable for us. Having education and no application is useless information. It's clutter.
And
we will go out and apply it. It's a home run.
To Bill's point, and this is from my own experience, and I'm speaking actually for every single speaker, not just real estate speakers, just everybody. It gets boring when we give the same presentation over and over and over again. In our head, it starts sounding like a script that we run over and over again. Myself, I try to make it different every time because my audience is different every time. I actually try to tap into the audience. I get lots of feedback from my audience. The other thing is we have life experiences that change us from presentation to presentation. We hear stories and examples from other people, past students, things like that. So every time we do a presentation, it may be 90% of the same stuff, but 10% is got a new twist on it. And it's not just because we're trying to bring you back or anything else. It's just because as we live, we grow, we learn more, and we try to share that with you. And anybody who's out there who's working this business or working any other thing that they're trying to teach you about is going to be the exact same way. They are a diamond running up against a hard surface, and that hard surface has taught them something, and it's created a facet on that diamond, and they want to share that with you. When we come back from this break, because we're ready for a break, I want to talk about ways to overcome the common objections to getting started, or the common excuses for getting started. And then I want to talk about, well, we're going to talk about your book too, but I'll be back in a second with all that.
All right, thanks.
Get ready for power, for success, for solutions and answers. It's all in one place, www.reallykevin.com. Education, opportunities, coaching, and so much more.
You are watching the Investor Guys podcast.
The Investor Guys podcast will be back shortly.
Absolution X. Lifestyle apparel like no other. Only at absolutionx.com. Get yours.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at caymank.com.
And we're back with part 2 of our education program on the Investor Guys podcast. Now, just before the break, I alluded to, in these next 2 sections, we're going to talk about getting you over the hurdle. Now, we hear lots of objections and we hear lots of excuses for people not to get started. I refer Bill's book to people all the time, to past students, to present students, to just people I meet in the street who ask me for book recommendations. If you're not familiar with it, there you go. Are You Dumb Enough to Be Rich? Now, the thing I hear students talk about all the time, and people who I've referred the book to all the time, is the 30-day challenge. I literally had somebody send me an email just the other day. They just got your book a couple of weeks ago, and they said, I am just starting Bill's 30-day challenge. Tell us about the 30-day challenge and how it works and what it's meant to accomplish.
Right. So, and we'll kind of run that backwards. We'll start with what it's meant to accomplish, how it works, and then some of the details in it. So when I was writing the book, I've been working with students for almost 30 years now. And I said, you know what, how is it that you get somebody that's brand new in the business and how do you get them started? Everybody likes a quick start. Today in the internet world, challenge is the catchphrase, but everybody likes a short, quick plan to get their business up and running. And so when I was writing the book, I was like, all right, so if I'm going to tell you in a consulting environment what it's going to take for you to get going, I'm going to say, do a little bit every day. If you do a little bit every day, you can end up with 8-10 hours a week in your business, and you'll be shocked what you can achieve if you're spending 8 to 10 hours total in a week in your business. If you are properly directed and you are going after the right things. Now, you've heard us talk about before on the show here, this business boils down to money and offers, period, end of story, nothing else matters. If I've got offers being made and I got money to pay for those offers, I'm gonna have a business. If I lack one or the other, I'm not. So when you get down to the simplest environment, when you break it down to the base common denominators, you come up with, okay, I need money and offers. So in my offer environment, that just means I need to get out and be looking at property, whether I'm doing it online, whether I'm doing it in person out with an agent or a consultant, however I'm doing that, I'm out getting offers made on property, and at the same time, I'm putting together money. All right, with those two things in mind, I started the 30-day challenge. And I said, all right, if I'm going to ask somebody to make a minimum of an absolute period minimum of 3 offers a week, I'd like them to make 5, but let's just go with 3. If I'm going to ask them to do that, how are they going to do that? Well, one of the things they're going to need is they're going to need some relationships. They're going to need relationships with some agents so they can access some good property and get seasoned. It's 97% of the properties on the MLS. So I'll let them know, hey, look, you want to find an agent in the area that you want to invest in that is good with investors. You need to make that agent feel comfortable that you know what you're doing and you can close the deal so they're not wasting their time. You can pay for the property. So if I've got some agents involved, and I can have multiple agents, I can have one agent, doesn't really matter. I can look myself, of course. I can go to realtor.com and look at everything that's listed. I just can't do comps, and there's a lot of information that's held back from the public side of that. But I can go see properties and pricing and get to access to the pictures. And then when things start to look good, I can go out and look at them. And so if I've got access to be able to make offers, and then I start going out and putting money together, whether that's hard money, whether that's using my 401k or self-directed IRA, whether that's putting private money together, whether it's building partnerships with somebody that has funding, and we go through all of that in the book, called the 5 Ps of OPM. No matter what funding mechanism I'm using, and by the way, I can do most all of those with no cash or credit myself. Obviously, the IRA account or the 401k would be your money. Everything else is based on using somebody else's money and or credit. If I'm doing that, it doesn't matter what my current circumstances are. I have the ability to pay for the deal. If I know I can pay for the deal, there's no reason for me not to make the offers. If I'm making the offers, somebody is going to say yes if I'm keeping my eye on the ball, if I'm keeping focused on how did I come up with the number that I'm going to offer. Don't go into anything goofy. And I had an actual client of mine call me and he said, I made 150 offers this past week. And I went, okay, well, that's wrong. He's like, what? I'm like, you can't make 150 offers and then be quality offers. You're just taking some kind of percentage. He said, well, from everything I know, you take about 30% off. And I'm like, no, you don't take 30% off. It ends up looking that way but what you took was 30% off of what they were asking. He goes, yeah, that's what I did. How'd you know that? And I'm like, well, it's pretty simple. You told me you made 150 offers. So if you made 150 offers, you might as well go buy a lottery ticket because your odds are about the same that something's going to get purchased or somebody's going to accept one of your offers. And of course, nobody did. And so now let's go back and adjust and work on a real offer. So you can't just go in and do any kind of blanket formula like that. You have to know that you start with the end in mind. And I'm starting with the end in mind. What's this property going to be worth at its highest and best use? That may be as a rental. That may be as a commercial property. That may be as a single family flip. Whatever the highest and best use for that property is, I need to know what the value, what's my top dollar that I can get for this property. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do that with it. I have to know that to be able to back off profit, cost, and figure out now what am I going to offer. So the whole 30-day action plan is to get you started making offers, get you started raising money, get you started putting your team together. And there's just a few things, 2 or 3 things to do every day. And you can literally take less than an hour, hour and a half a day and build a business by going through the 30-day offer.
Just getting started. And we're going to take a break real quick. We're going to come back with our last segment, and I want to talk about getting over the main hurdles that we hear all the time. And again, the 30-day quick start is part of that. Back in just a minute.
You are watching the Investor Guys podcast.
Live the resort lifestyle every day with Cayman K. The perfect pieces for every wardrobe. Shop the entire Cayman K collection and find your favorites. Find all our styles at CaymanK.com.
Absolution X. Lifestyle apparel like no other. Limited editions. Unique, exclusive designs. Seek your absolution. Get yours. Only at absolutionx.com.
reallykevin.com. Weekly recorded coaching sessions. Learn, grow, find resources, opportunities, and more. You'll find it all at reallykevin.com.
And we are back with our last segment on our education show. And just before we went into break, Bill was talking about his quick start. One of the things that he mentioned was OPM. Now, the big excuses that we hear all the time are pretty much what we call analysis of the paralysis. People feel like they don't have enough information. They don't have enough knowledge. They're not comfortable doing it because they feel like they need to learn more. Again, they need to kick themselves in the butt and just get out there and do it, because there's only so much you can learn before you actually have to apply it and put yourself up against that hard surface that we mentioned earlier. That is also part of the biggest hurdle that we hear and the biggest excuse, and that's money. Okay. If they weren't afraid of making a mistake and losing money, they wouldn't feel like they needed more information. Some people will just out and out. They feel like they're ready. They've got the knowledge, but they need the money. They feel like they don't have the money. Bill touched on OPM. It will take you longer to get started using other people's money, but you will get started. You've got 2 choices. You can sit around and do absolutely nothing and wait to get rich doing absolutely nothing, so you will never, ever get started. Or you can take the extra effort, put the extra time in, make the phone calls, knock on the doors, talk to the people, Get someone to invest in you and invest in the project that you're doing so that you can get started in real estate. Now, there's other ways to get started in real estate also without actually having to have somebody give you money to purchase an investment. You can wholesale. It's still other people's money because you're not actually purchasing the property. There are so many different ways to get started. There's no reason to let these excuses hold you up. Am I seeing something different than you usually see, Bill?
No, you're spot on right there. Those are the two biggest things. One, I don't know how to put an offer together. And if I get an offer accepted, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. And both of those are pretty doggone simple to overcome if you are reaching out to somebody like Kevin or myself to show you how to do that. When I work with clients consulting, I'm sure Kevin does the same thing. When we're consulting with clients, we're not going to let you make a bad purchase. If we look at the numbers and the numbers don't make sense, we don't care whether you like it or not. I'm going to tell you, we're not doing that. You're going to get hammered if you do that. By the same token, if you've got a deal that you think is really good and you're going to use hard money on it, your hard money lender will come back and do the same thing. They'll come back and look at it and they'll go, these numbers don't work. This doesn't make sense. No, I'm not putting my money up. Or they're going to come back and go, hey, it's a nice deal. Yeah, we'll fund this for you. So when you look at the different options that you have, and one of the things that whole 5 P's of OPM I go through in the book, also teach you what I refer to as the solid gold money script, which is 16-second script to unlock all the money you could ever want to do deals with. And so when you know that I can pay for it, now I just have to focus on finding a good deal, and you're going to be more aggressive in finding those deals. If you know that you can put together a good offer, then you're going to be more aggressive in going out and looking for money, again, whether it be partnership, private money, conventional money, hard money, 401k, self-directed IRA. It doesn't matter what type of funding it is. And people get all freaked out about, oh, well, I don't want to pay 10%. By the way, I never pay less than double digits. Why? Because I always have a line of people that are wanting to do business with me that love having money invested in real estate, but they're not interested in being a real estate
Which
investor.
brings me to a point I wanted to make. Bill, how long have you been investing in real estate?
30 years.
And 99% or more of your deals, how do you do them?
I do them with private money, typically private and hard.
Other people's money.
Yep, OPM, absolutely.
And with all of the experience and all of the education and all of the practical knowledge that Bill has, this is still his primary strategy. So why not launch yourself through the gate and get started in investing in real estate? Like I said, it takes additional time, it's work, it's effort. But Bill, how difficult is it now that you have developed that network of investors who want to invest in your properties?
It's like falling off a log. There's always a backlog of people, no pun intended, there's always a backlog of people there, but you have to make the effort to do that.
Right. And it's absolutely worth it now. Do you feel like the time that you invested in finding investors and setting up your OPM strategy was worth it? Was it well earned?
Home run. Because what is, as you in our audience, many of you are freaking out with, I just don't know how to pay for it. So when you've got people that you have done business with, and look, we all started with the first one. So you have this, or I don't have that, or whatever. We all started with our very first one. Once you have somebody you've done business with and you do it correctly with them, they share with other people and your network just organically starts to grow. Now you've got to stay on top of that. You've got to keep asking and letting people know, this is what I do. This is how we pay for these things. This could be something that might be of interest to you. If it is, here's what you're going to make. And again, I go through that scripting process in the book. But when you do that, you go, wow, suddenly raising money is not something that is a roadblock. It's just something that becomes a natural part of your business on a day-to-day basis, just like making offers is.
So really the takeaway from this entire show that Bill and I want you to have is get your education, because your education will give you the confidence. And essentially the way Bill teaches it, the way I teach it, the way others do as well, it's numbers. Math does not lie. Everything in our universe can be broken down to numbers, literally. If you know what numbers to use in your calculation and in your math, and you run your numbers and that deal works, I don't care how ugly or stinky or smelly or anything else it is. If you've got the right numbers and that deal works, you do the deal. If your numbers don't work, I don't care how beautiful it is, how attractive it is, how many people love it, how many people want it. Okay. If the numbers don't work, you don't do it. Just walk away from it and look for the next one. When you have that kind of confidence, and you have the ability to go out and purchase the property, because you don't even have to rely upon your own income. If you don't have the money in your pocket, if you don't have an IRA, you don't have a way to do it. There are people out there. Their entire investment strategy is to invest money with investors. Okay. They invest money with people like Bill, people like me, people like you, who can give them a return on investment, 10, 12%, whatever it is. That is better than they are going to get if that money is sitting in the bank. So the takeaway that we want you to have from this show is don't wait. If you need the education, go to investorguyspodcast.com, investorguyspodcast.com. We have some buyers events coming up. We've got other programs. Get your education. Once you have that education, start with the money. That's actually part of the education that Bill and I provide also, is how to get that money. But don't wait. Every day you wait is a day you wasted. Thank you for joining us on the Investor Guys podcast. We look forward to seeing you guys again. Again, for any information, investorguyspodcast.com. Bill, I'll see you later. You have a great day. The rest of you, happy investing.
See you, everybody.
All right, one thing I wanted to chat with you about. Hold on.
Yes.
Get this.
Thank you for tuning in to the Investor Guys podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on the latest trends and insights in the world of real estate investing. Also, don't forget to check us out and see all of our episodes at theinvestorguyspodcast.com. Email us, contact@investorguyspodcast.com. Remember, the key to financial success lies in staying informed and taking action. Stay tuned for our next episode, and until then, happy investing.